Hello and welcome to the SEDM website. Thank you for watching this video demonstration of how to use Microsoft Word 2007 to edit the legal pleading and motion template found on the litigation tools page of the SEDM website as litigation tool 01.001. This presentation will take approximately 30 minutes, and we are going to show you how to use all the major features of Microsoft Word to customize the template with your personal information, how to navigate the document using the document map, how to apply styles to simplify the formatting and the creation of your document, how to auto-populate the table of contents and the table of authorities, and how to reorganize your document using the outlining mode. We will be using Word 2007 for this demo. We have an equivalent version of this demo on our support page that uses Microsoft Word 2003 if you are using an older version of Microsoft Word. We will not demonstrate how to edit our templates using any other word processor such as Microsoft Works or OpenOffice. All of our documents on this website are restricted to Microsoft application formats. What we're going to show you will be useful in editing most of the word processing documents on this website, including our form letters. The ability to make your own pleadings to file in court can save you a lot of money. It is a very important skill. It will also minimize the amount of work that you have to give to an attorney, allowing you to possibly even conduct your case entirely on your own, using our website as a research and reference tool. What you have in front of you is Word 2007 with the template opened to the beginning page. Before we begin using the features to edit the document, let us demonstrate some instructional techniques that we will use throughout this presentation. On your screen is the mouse moving around. Notice that there is a yellow circle surrounding the mouse so that you can follow the mouse more easily. If we move the mouse cursor to an area where we're going to click, every time we click the mouse you will see red circles emanating from the center of the mouse cursor, and you will hear a clicking noise. Let me demonstrate. Click, click, and so on. Likewise, if we type anything on the keyboard, we will tell you what we are typing, but you will not hear a typewriter noise like you might on other presentations found on this website. The first thing that we're going to do is change the display mode so that we can see the document map. If we go to the View menu at the top, click on the View menu, we see the View ribbon, and on the View ribbon we see the Show Hide button. If we click on that Show Hide button, there is a document map checkbox that we can click. After we click that, we see the document map open up on the left-hand side. The document map is an outline presentation of the entire document, and that outline presentation allows us to navigate all the various sections of the document to fill in the text very quickly as we are developing and assembling our document. So if we click on Section 4 here, it takes us immediately to Section 4. You might wonder how these entries appear on the left, and the answer is that these entries are generated automatically whenever we use heading styles within the document. A style is a method of formatting text that standardizes the presentation of the text and allows us to organize the document and navigate the document. For instance, right now we are on Item 4, Section 4, and that Section 4 just happens to be a heading style number 1. How do we know that? If we click on the Home tab up here, then we open up the Home ribbon, and we have a Styles quick tab on the ribbon, and we can see that heading 1 is highlighted. So, and whatever it is that we select within the document will be highlighted at the top in the Styles bar if it's displayed. So for instance, if we move down to this heading 2 style, Section 4.1, we can see the display change and it's no longer highlighted. If we open it up though, we can see that there's a heading 2 style here. So that's a heading 2 style. Another method for examining the styles found in the document is to open up the style bar on the right. We click on this little arrow here. We open up the style bar on the right, and we can see all the styles in the document. The other thing we can do is simplify the display of the styles on the right by clicking on the Options button, and then we can turn off all these formatting that's extraneous to see just the basic styles on the right. And right now, since we have the cursor on a heading 2 style, then it's highlighted heading 2 on the right. We can also add any one of these styles to the quick tab at the top by simply right-clicking on them and saying add or remove. In this case, remove, because it's already in there. If we wanted to add the new paragraph, same way. We right-click and it's already in there. You can see it right up there, so there's nothing to remove. So let's close the styles bar on the right and navigate our document. So that's how we navigate around to the various sections. We click in the document map. We can open the document map or close the document map from the View menu up here using the Show Hide. If we uncheck it, it disappears. If we check it again, it reappears. Within your documents, you can have several heading levels. So let's go back to the Home tab here. We can see that there are 9 levels of heading hierarchy that we can put into our document. And right now we're only using 2 levels. Heading level 1 for items 1 through 6, and then heading level 2 for item 4.1 and 4.2, which would be heading level 2 right here. So now the first step we have to do is enter the personal information into our document and customize it. All of the places where we have to enter personal information are highlighted in yellow, and they have field name placeholders where the information goes, surrounded by these braces, as you can see. So if we needed to enter our name, then we would go to this field that says your name, and we would click the cursor on the left just before the field name. There we go, and we would type it, John Doe. And then we would take the remainder of that line and remove the field name placeholder, select it with the mouse, and then hit delete. Now this text that we see that we just typed in is still highlighted, and we want to remove the highlighting. So what we do is we move our mouse cursor over to the left-hand edge of the screen, and you can see it changes format from upper left to lower right to lower left to upper right, which means we're in the line selection mode. So whenever we move to the left edge next to a line and we click, then we can select the whole line. If we want to select a range of lines, we click, hold it down, and drag. So let's go back to the beginning and select just the first line, and we'll remove the highlighting. So we'll go to the text highlight color option, and we'll select no color, and so we've removed the highlighting. So now that area, that entry, that field has been customized. So now let's enter an address, 1234 Any Street. And now we're going to use the keyboard instead of the mouse because it's faster to select the text. So we'll hold down the Shift key, and while we're holding it down, we'll hit the N key to go to the end of the line, and then we'll move the left arrow 1 character over, and then we'll hit delete. And then we'll hit the Home key to go to the beginning of the line, and then we'll hold down the Shift key and hit the N key to select the line, and then we will remove the formatting by clicking on the text highlight color again. There we go, and it takes us to the next line. So then we type in the city, comma, any state, space, 99999. And then we'll take this and we'll select the text, and then we'll hit delete. Why are we showing you how to use the keyboard? Because it's always much faster to use the keyboard than it is to keep having to take your hands off the keyboard and grab the mouse. There's always at least 2 ways to do everything, and if you're proficient, you'll know how to use the keyboard. So we're going to come over to the left-hand edge again. We're going to hit select the line, click in the left-hand edge with the mouse cursor to select the line. We're going to remove the formatting on this, no color. So we took the highlight off that, and then we're going to type in the address, private, the email address, private@email.com. Hold down the Shift key, hit the N key while we're holding it down, move the left arrow over while we're still holding it down, and then hit delete. There we go. Now we've customized the address at the beginning. Then we're going to click on the next item to customize, which is the name of the district court, and we will say Pennsylvania, and then we will select the rest of that line and delete the text. And then we'll hit the home key to go to the beginning of the line, and then we'll scroll over, and it looks like now we have to change the name field. So we'll do John Doe, and then we'll select the text. The mouse is always harder and more inconvenient to use. So we'll hit delete, then we'll select the line by hand, like that. And then we will remove the highlighting, and then the last thing we have to enter here to customize is the case number. So we'll do 06-CV-9999. Hold down the Shift key, hit the N key. Oh, let's just do it with the mouse, make it easier. Select the text, hit delete, and now we're done customizing the document. You can see there aren't any yellow fields left, at least at the beginning. Now we also know that there are headers and footers on each one of the pages, and those headers and footers need to be customized so that they agree with the caption on the case here, which is a petition to dismiss for failure to state a claim on which relief can be granted. And to see the headers and footers, we have to go into the page preview mode. So we click on View here, we click on Print Layout, and then we scroll over to the left, and we scroll down to the bottom of the first page, and we can see there is the footer. We can see all the line numbers in the page view mode, print layout mode. We can scroll over and we can see that there's a case number here we need to customize. And the way we edit the headers and footers is we double click on them. So we'll double click on this, and we can see that we could modify the caption on the case and the footer. We're not going to do that here, but this would be the time when you did it. Then we're going to scroll over to the right, and we're going to enter the case number again, 06-CV-9999. Then we're going to select the text and delete it, the field placeholder, and now we've customized the footers. And we can see that the page numbering we'll just leave for now, that we'll have to update that again later. So if we want to go back and edit the text on the page instead of the header and the footer, we double click somewhere on the page, and now we're back in the page edit mode. We'll scroll back to the beginning. The next thing we want to be able to do is we want to be able to add text to a section. So let's go to section 4.1, and we can see here, and let's zoom in a little bit. Let's do 100%. Actually, we're going to zoom 75%. So we'll click on the zoom button, and we'll select 75%, and then we'll see the page. And that's probably a little too small, so we'll make it 85%. Click in the percent here, and there we go. Now let's say we want to enter text in section 4.1. We can see that right now we're at the beginning of the section, and we can see that the first paragraph in the section is numbered. If we go back to the Home tab, we can see that this is in a new paragraph style, and we can also look at the style that it is by once again looking at the styles bar, which also says a new paragraph over here. But we'll turn off the styles bar and we'll stick with the top because it's simpler. And we can see that this paragraph is numbered, and let's say we want to add another paragraph after this paragraph. So we click on the end of this paragraph and we hit enter. And we can see that when we did that, it created yet another enum paragraph style, just like the previous one that we were on, and it auto-numbered it with the next number in the sequence. So this is a test paragraph, And likewise, if we hit enter again, it would make another numbered paragraph. And we'll hit Control Z to undo what we just did. And go back. This is a test paragraph. Now what is Control Z? Control Z allows us to undo the last thing that we did. Anyway, now let's say that we want to add a new section before section 4.1. Another heading level 2 before section 4.1. So we click on section 4.1 so that our cursor is on that heading style, which is a heading 2 style. How do we know that? Because once again it's highlighted, heading 2. And so we can see that it's a heading 2 style. So we click at the beginning of that heading 2 style and watch the blinking cursor, and we hit enter. And we can see in the document map mode that it created another heading 2 style, and it's waiting for us to fill in the name of that heading. So this is a test heading. And if we hit enter now, we can see that now it created a new paragraph. We don't know what style it is because there's nothing highlighted, but if we want to look, there it is. It's a normal style. However, on this one, we know that this paragraph here is an enum paragraph style. And we want this one to be the same way. So we can click on this and make it an enum paragraph. And it reapplied that style to this paragraph. And then we can just start typing. This is a new paragraph. And just like before, we can hit enter and we can start another paragraph. This is another new paragraph. Now let's say I want to move the paragraphs around. I could take this paragraph here and select the line by clicking in the left-hand edge. Then I can click somewhere in the selection and hold down the mouse and drag it up. And now I've rearranged the paragraphs in that section. So that's how we move items around within a section. Now let's say we want to reorganize the document entirely. And we're going to need the outline mode for that. So we come over here to the view and we click on the outline. Right now we're in the print layout mode, and we click on the outline mode. And now we're in the outline mode. And then we have to come over here and tell it what level we want to show, because we have up to 2 levels now. We're using heading styles 1 and heading styles 2. So we click on the levels and we want to see the first 2 levels. There we go. So now we can see the complete outline of our document, just like we had in the document map. This is another rendition, in fact, of the document map, but this one is a little different because we can navigate around. We can drill down inside of the sections and look if we want. We can't do that in the document map. If we double click on section 4.1 here, which is a heading 2 style, we can see what's underneath it, and we just created this. If we double click on it again, we close it. And the other really neat feature is we can close the whole section 4 so that we don't see anything underneath it, or we can open it back up again and see everything. And then we can tell it just to show the heading level 2. Now let's say we want to take this section 4.2 and we want to change the level. Let's say we want to make it a heading 1 style instead of a heading 2 style. So what we could do is we could select heading level 2 here. I'm sorry. What we could do is we could select this little arrow here, promote, and we can make this a heading 1 style. And if we hit the right arrow, we make it a heading 2 style again. The other neat thing is about the outlining mode is we can rearrange our document. Let's say we want to take section 4.2 and move it up right after section 2 up here. And we want to move all of the text underneath that heading, that is, all this text here. We want to move all that text, I'll double click on it again. We want to move all that text underneath the heading, along with the heading, to a new location. So we click on the selection here somewhere, the line selection. We hold down the mouse and we drag it where we want to put it, and we let go. And there it is. It moved up here. And we can see, let's say we want it to be section 3 now. So we hit the left arrow, make it a section 3. Now isn't that slick? And if we want to undo it, we hit the Control Z to unpromote it. Hit the Control Z again to move it back where it was. And there it is. It's right back where it was. And then we go back to level 2 again. Level 2 display in our outline. So that's how we can reorganize our document, how we can promote and demote a section. And when we're done rearranging our document, we can close the outline mode and go right back into the regular text display mode. So far, we've showed you how to customize the document. We've showed you how to arrange it and rearrange it. We've showed you how to create new text. We've showed you how to delete text. We can select the text here and hit delete. We've showed you how to add sections and remove sections and rearrange sections. The last major feature that we want to show you is how to use the table of contents and the table of authorities, and how to auto-populate those, and how to use the fields that auto-populate those. In front of you in section 4.2 here is an item that has a field code after it. You can see the little left squiggly here, and then we have a TA, which means table of authorities, and then we can see the end of that field code over here, the right squiggly. And we can see that there's a /3 at the end, and we can see within the field code the item that's labeled. And that labeling ends up in the table of authorities at the beginning. So, and the C3 means that it's a category 3. And you'll see that in a minute. So, let's say we want to, let's go back to the beginning, and the first thing we want to do to auto-calculate the table of contents is we're going to right-click somewhere over in the left. And at that point, we have to, and the reason we did that is because we want to select some portion of the table of contents. Now, and the reason we want to do that is we want to auto-update this table of contents to be consistent with the current arrangement of our document. You can see over here we have 3 heading 2 levels, but we can see that the table of contents only has 2, so it's out of date and it needs to be updated. So as long as we select somewhere in here and we right-click, then we can update the field. See, update field right here. And then it says we can update the entire table or just the page numbers. We want to update the entire table because we have a new heading level over here. Oops. We selected the wrong one. So we're going to say update the field, and then we're going to say update entire table, and we'll say OK. And now we can see the new heading 2 style that we added over here. This is a test heading. Is now automatically populated in the table of contents. Now, how is it that we did that? Well, this table of contents, because it's gray when we put our mouse cursor within it, that is a calculated field. How do we know that? Because it's gray. And it doesn't turn gray unless we have the cursor within it. So if we click anywhere on it, it turns gray, which tells us this is a calculated field. Now, if we want to know what kind of field it is, then we have to display the field codes. And we do that by hitting Alt and F9. Hold down Alt again. So here we have the field codes displayed for the table of authorities. And we can see that there are 5 entries here. TOA means table of authorities. We have a /C, which means category. And we have number 7, which is category 7. And each one of these is a different section in the points of authorities if we turn the field codes back off. Let me click here and hit Alt F9 quickly. And if we scroll down, we can see all the sections. So a C7, category 7, was a constitutional provisions. And the next one was category 3, I believe, which was statutes. And so on. Let's turn that back on again to the field codes. We'll see that. There it is. 7 was the constitutional provisions, 2 was the statutes, 1 was the cases, and so on. The other way we can know what these categories mean is we can go to the References tab over here. If we click on the References, there's a thing called Mark Citation. And when we click on that, we see the category list here. And all of these categories are in numerical sequence. So the first one, cases, is category 1, statutes is category 2, other authorities is category 3, rules is category 4, and so on. So let's close this for a minute, and we will hit Alt F9 to turn the field codes back off again for the tables of authorities and the table of contents at the beginning. And let's go back to section 4.2, and we see that there are field codes in section 4.2 for the local rule and the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 12H2. Now, every time we want something to appear in the table of authorities earlier, before we update it, we have to add fields within the document after every instance of all the items that we want to label in the table of authorities. In this case, you can see we have a field code after the Federal Rules Civil Procedure Rule 12H2. And TA means Table of Authorities, and it's a rule, Federal Rules Civil Procedure 12H2. And if we scroll over a little bit, we can see it appears twice, and then the end of it says /C3. That means Category 3, and that would be the same Category 3 that's in our mark citations here. So we drop our list down. Category 3 would be other authorities. So it's currently set at other authorities, and we want to make this a rule instead of other authorities. So we're going to close this, and we're going to delete that reference by selecting it, and then we're going to hit delete, and then we're going to reselect it and make it into a Category 4. So we can show you how to mark an entry to add it to the table of authorities. So we select the text that we want to add or mark, and then we click on Mark Citation, and right now it defaults to cases, and this is not a case, this is a rule. So we want to drop the list down in the category, find rules, and then we have two choices. We can mark it or we can mark all. When we mark it, we mark this single instance of the rule, and only this instance, and a corresponding entry in the table of authorities at the beginning will then appear along with the page number. If we click on Mark All, then it'll mark not only this instance, but every instance of the same reference throughout the document, and all of those references will appear at the table of authorities at the beginning. So in this case, we're just going to mark it once with Mark, and it's on Rules, and Rules happens to be the fourth one down, so this will be a Category 4. So we'll close this, and we'll see that indeed it put a /C for Category 4. And if we come up here under Rules, we can see that there is no entry for rules, and that we probably want to add a rules table of authorities. So we can put that, normally that would be right after statutes. So we come here, we'll hit return, and then we will say insert table of authorities over here. We'll click on that, we'll put the cursor where we want to put the table of authorities, we'll say insert, and then we'll pick which kind of table. We want rules, since we don't have a rules table right now. So there it is. It adds the rules table, and there's the rule we just marked. Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 12H2. Now the other thing we want you to notice is that when we mark these entries, like this one we just marked, Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 12H2, that we can turn all of those markings off. We can go to the Home tab, we can click on the Show Hide, and we can turn off those references. Now the references are still there, the field codes are still there, but they don't display on the screen, and that can present a special problem that you may not be aware of. For instance, the rule is here for now. Let's select that rule, pretending we don't know that it's also referenced with the field code afterward. And so we're just selecting the text and not the field code. And we click on the text and we move it down here. Okay, and now we turn the field codes back on to see what happened to the field code that was still there. And there it is. Notice that the text moved, but the field code didn't. So if we auto-populated or auto-generated the table of authorities at this point, it would be incorrect, because the reference field code after the entry didn't move with the entry itself. So let's hit the Control-Z and backspace to where we were. So the lessons learned is, when you move text, you should have the field codes turned on by hitting the Show Hide button, so that when you copy the text, you can copy the field codes and the text. And one of the last steps in proofreading your document is going to be to make sure that you have Show Hide turned on so you can see all the field codes, and that the field codes are always immediately after each entry that they refer to, and that the field codes are consistent and say the same thing as the entry that they're after. Otherwise, your table of authorities will be incorrect and the page number references will be incorrect. And that's the other kind of a field code. There's two classes of field codes. There's the table of authorities that we've been looking at here, like in section 4.2, which is these. And those are controlled with the show hide here. And then the other types of field codes, the other class of field codes, are up here at the beginning for the table of authorities and the table of contents. And those field codes displays, instead of being controlled by this, the show hide, they're controlled by the Alt F9 instead. The next thing that we need to do is we need to do a spell check on our document. So we're going to go to the beginning of the document, like this, and then we're going to go to the Review tab, and we're going to click Spelling and Grammar. And then it'll go through our document and locate all the spelling errors. We can ignore this entry, ignore it, and so on. Now notice it's also finding errors within the field codes. If we don't want it to scan the field codes as well as the text, we can close this and we can turn off those field codes on the Home tab by clicking the Show Hide button. There it is. And we turn off all the field codes, go back to the beginning, and now we're just going to check the spelling and the grammar of the text itself and not the field codes. So go back to the review, we'll click on Spelling and Grammar, and there it is. Notice it's not finding field codes anymore. Ignore, ignore, and so on. So we'll say close. Alright, so that is how we do all the major features, how we use all the major features of Microsoft Word to edit the Legal Pleading in Motion template. To summarize what we just learned, we learned how to customize the document with your personal information. We learned how to navigate the document with the document map. We learned how to use styles to format text. We learned how to reorganize the document in the outline mode. We learned how to auto-populate the table of contents and the table of authorities, how to update it, and we also learned how to add entries to the table of authorities and or the table of contents using the field codes and the styles. If you have further questions about how to use other documents found on this website or other types of applications, please consult the support page on our website. Thank you for watching this presentation, and we hope this makes your experience more enjoyable and productive in using the vast resources available through our website. God bless you.